Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are pointing our compass due north, quite a way north, actually, about 1,100 kilometers away from the main island of Mauritius.
Right.
We're looking at two tiny, seemingly insignificant slivers of land, Agalega.
Agalega is, well, it's the very definition of a strategic paradox, isn't it?
How so?
You're looking at a total landmass of roughly 26 square kilometers. Tiny. And inhabited by only about 330 people, last time they checked.
Wow, that's really small.
It is. Yet these remote outer islands have become this disproportionately large focus point for high-stakes maritime strategy. And we're talking the Indian Ocean, one of the world's most critical shipping lanes.
It's truly remarkable how such a small dot on the map can carry such, well, immense geopolitical weight.
Absolutely.
So our mission for you today is to dive deep into this dichotomy. We're going to uncover the strange roots of its name, maybe confront some of the dark history that shaped its unique population.
Yeah, and examine the daily struggle of life against, frankly, fragile infrastructure.
And finally, decode exactly how Agalega fits into India's rapidly ascending maritime security doctrine. Let's dig in.
Okay.
So we start where all good stories do, with the name itself. The sources show that during the age of Portuguese exploration, naming was apparently a bit fluid and occasionally confusing.
Yeah, that's the fun part of historical cartography. It leads to, in this case, 3 suggested origins for Agalega.
Okay, what's the first one?
Well, one idea suggests it was named simply after a vessel. A Portuguese explorer, Dom Pedro Mascarenhas, supposedly named it in 1512 after his sailboat, the Galega.
Simple enough, but maybe too simple.
Possibly. The more probable explanation connects back to an earlier discovery, 1501, by João de Nova. Now, he was actually known by his crew as João Galego, which means John the Galician.
Ah, right.
So the islands likely took their name from Ilha Galega, meaning the Galician island. Makes sense, doesn't it?
It does seem more plausible. And the third theory?
And then you have the third, slightly less likely theory, that it was named Baixas de Gal by Diogo Lopes de Sequeira, maybe referencing potential gale force winds in the area around 1509.
Gale winds. Okay.
Regardless, these islands were clearly in the navigational lexicon very early on, long before Captain Briggs of HMS Claren finally fixed their exact location in 1811.
Okay, so once they were properly located, the focus shifted from naming to settlement. And that's where the history takes a sharp, heavy turn.
It really does. The first known attempt at settlement was in August 1808 by a guy named M. de Rosemond.
And what did he find?
He actually arrived to find the bodies of 2 castaways. Grim discovery. One was a privateer, Robert Dufour,
And the other?
Adelaide Demarest. And the only significant hill on the island, Montagne Demarest, is named after her.
Right. But actual economic organization came later.
Yes, the real economic organization. That began almost 2 decades later, 1827, with Auguste Leduc. He established a production of coconut oil and copra. That became the main industry.
But how was this industry powered?
Well, that's the dark part. This entire economic foundation was built on the brutality of slavery.
The sources indicate the islands drew their enslaved population primarily from Malagasy, Madras in India, and the Comoros Islands. And abolition here didn't arrive until 1835.
Right. And the legacy of that era isn't just in, say, the ruins of the slave dungeons you could still find there. It's literally etched into the map.
What do you mean?
Consider the name of the main settlement itself. It's called 25.
Which means 25 in French.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it derives its name directly from the horrific colonial practice of the 25 lashes that were given to rebellious slaves.
Wow. Think about that. A constant living monument to colonial brutality.
Yeah.
That detail alone tells you so much about the island's foundation, and I suppose the strength required by the Agalenes, the islanders, who primarily speak Creole and practice Catholicism today.
Absolutely. And that profound isolation combined with the need for secrecy under slavery led to the creation of one of the most unique cultural artifacts, a coded language called Madame Langa's Seret.
A coded language. Tell me more.
It's really ingenious. A linguistic defense mechanism, basically, designed to allow the enslaved community to speak freely right in front of plantation owners without being understood.
So it's not just substituting words.
Oh, no, it's much more complex. It's a total linguistic re-engineering. It's a mixture of French and Mauritian Creole, where every single syllable of a word is doubled.
Doubled.
Yes, doubled. And the first consonant of that doubled syllable is replaced with the letter G.
Okay, give me an example.
Right, so if you wanted to say the word secret, you would transform it into secret credit.
Segrecredit, wow.
Imagine trying to follow that spoken quickly. The speed and fluency required makes it virtually impossible for an outsider to follow on the fly.
That level of complex, shared secrecy really drives home the community's intense isolation, doesn't it?
It really does.
Which, continues to define their daily existence even now.
It does. Physically, we are talking about two parts. The North Island, which is about 12.5 kilometers long, and houses the capital Vincennes and the main airstrip.
And the South Island.
That's smaller, about 7 kilometers long.
Ah.
And if you want to travel between settlements, you're basically traversing roads made of packed sand and coral. Not exactly highways.
And their infrastructure profile sounds exceptionally fragile.
It is. There is no traditional running water system. All drinking water must be collected from rainwater. General use water comes from wells.
And electricity.
Severely limited. Supplied only for certain hours each day by diesel generators.
That must shape daily life profoundly. What about education and health?
Well, the education system requires migration. While a primary school exists on the island, if students want secondary education, they have to make that 1,100-kilometer trip south to Mauritius.
Wow. And healthcare.
Equally rudimentary, they rely on a local health officer and a midwife, supplemented only by irregular visits from doctors and magistrates from Mauritius. It's basic.
So this existence, defined by isolation and very limited resources, is constantly facing existential threats, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
While the climate is generally a pleasant, hot tropical one average around 26 degrees C, it is extremely prone to sudden, violent weather events.
Like cyclones.
Exactly. And that vulnerability was tragically underscored very recently. In December 2024, Cyclone Cheeto made landfall near the North Island.
And the impact.
Devastating. It destroyed the vast majority of the community's homes and completely cut off power. Their survival is entirely dependent on climate stability and, frankly, swift outside assistance when things go wrong.
And it is that very dependency, that isolation, which makes this tiny, struggling community such a desirable strategic prize for an ascending power like India.
Precisely.
This pivot brings us into the core of the deep dive. Geopolitics.
Right, and the foundation here is the deep historical relationship between Mauritius and India. We're talking cultural, linguistic, economic ties.
Sure.
Cemented by agreements like the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation and Partnership Agreement, the CECPA, signed in 2021. And India doesn't just cooperate with Mauritius, it provides significant military aid, patrol boats, things like that.
But the importance of Agalega for India isn't just about cultural affinity, is it? It sounds more like existential economic necessity.
That's a good way to put it. It's about the Indian Ocean region, the IOR. India relies heavily on the sea, over 90% of their external trade by volume.
90%.
Yeah. And crucially, nearly 80% of their crude oil requirement, it's all imported by sea.
So those sea lanes are absolutely critical infrastructure for them.
Critical is an understatement. India codified this urgency in their 2015 Naval Doctrine, a document called Ensuring Secure Seas, Indian Maritime Security Strategy.
Okay, and what does that strategy mandate?
Primarily, protecting the sea lines of communication, they call them SLOCs, and maintaining total maritime domain awareness, or MDA.
MDA, that's the concept of knowing precisely what is happening out there on the water, right? The position, identity, intent of every vessel, friendly or hostile.
Exactly, across your entire vast maritime zone. And for India, maintaining that awareness means extending its logistical and surveillance reach far, far beyond its immediate coastline.
And Agalega fits into that picture how?
This brings us to the crucial part. To execute this strategy, India has been developing significant strategic assets on Agalega, and we are not talking about small upgrades here. These are massive infrastructural projects.
Okay, strategic assets. What does that actually mean on an island where locals, as you said, rely on well water and diesel generators? What have they actually built?
Well, they're building infrastructure designed specifically for long-range naval and air assets. Most significantly, they've extended the existing airstrip to a full 3,000 meters.
3 kilometers, that's substantial.
It is. This runway can now easily accommodate large maritime surveillance aircraft, most notably the Indian Navy's P-8I Neptune.
And the P-8I is essentially a long-range spy plane, correct? A real force multiplier for that maritime domain awareness you mentioned.
Exactly right. It uses advanced radar, sensors, sonobuoys. It can patrol vast areas, tracking surface vessels, and critically subsurface movements, submarines.
And there's more than just the runway.
Yes. Combined with the other major project, a new deep-sea jetty, this basically transforms Agalega from a coconut dependency into a crucial operational logistics hub for the Indian Navy.
So ships can dock.
Right. The jetty allows patrol vessels, maybe even larger naval ships, to dock, refuel, maybe rearm. It extends their operational range significantly.
But developing this level of foreign military infrastructure on a dependent island, that must raise profound questions of sovereignty, especially given the history of colonial control in the IOR. How does Mauritius handle this?
It is, let's say, a delicate balance. Officially, both nations insist the facility is purely for Mauritian Coast Guard use. And for general humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, logistical support, that's the official line.
But unofficially, or among analysts?
Well, Indian security analysts are quite clear. They state pretty openly that these assets are a direct countermeasure to what they label as the increasing strategic concern of China's expanding presence in the Indian Ocean region.
Okay, so China's string of pearls, that network of port investments from Gwadar in Pakistan down to Hambantota in Sri Lanka. Agalega is essentially designed to counter that influence.
It absolutely seems designed that way.
Hmm.
Agalega provides India with a forward operational base. It allows it to maintain surveillance across a vast and vital section of the Western Indian Ocean, an area China is increasingly active in.
So it helps the Indian Navy execute coordinated actions, build capacity with other island states.
All while ensuring secure SLOCs much further afield than they could manage from mainland India alone. Without that runway and that jetty on Agalega, this kind of strategic reach is simply impossible for them.
It's an incredible story of transformation then. Agalega is this microcosm where the isolation and the harsh realities of centuries of human struggle, post-colonial vulnerability,
Yeah.
meet the sharp 21st century pressures of global naval rivalry between two major powers, no less.
It fundamentally connects the immediate daily struggle of those 330 or so people to the strategic stability of an entire ocean.
You know, for the Agaleans, infrastructure means ensuring they have enough collected rainwater.
Right.
But for global powers like India, infrastructure means geopolitical reach and guaranteed trade routes. Two very different perspectives on the same piece of land.
So we leave you with this final thought. Consider how this accelerated pace of high-tech geopolitical infrastructure development, the 3,000-meter runway, the deep-sea jetty, the P-8I reconnaissance flights overhead, how will that inevitably and profoundly transform the remote, traditional way of life, exemplified by Agalega's small community?
Yeah, and it raises the question, doesn't it? Who truly benefits and who pays the price for global maritime security in places like this? Something to think about. Until next time, keep diving deep.